Okay, great. The hour of 5 has arrived, so let's get underway with the Beal Early Childhood Center Building Committee meeting for Tuesday, May 14th at 5 o'clock. First item on the agenda is to review and adopt the meeting minutes of April 9th, 2019. Any questions or comments?
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. We will now review and act on the following bills, schedules, and warrants. Lamoureux, Pagano and Associates, invoice 1717-1904, $432,590. Fontaine Brothers, Inc., requisition number 003 for $26,053.
This is
PMA Consultants, invoice 0110-22 for $35,424.50. PMA Consultants, invoice 04110-23, $276. And PMA Consultants, invoice 04110-23 for $34,870.50. Are there any questions or comments or requests for further information on any of these vendor expense items? Not hearing any. Is there a motion?
So moved.
second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're unanimous. Item 4, we will hear reports and review and act on the following matters. However, before doing that, I'd like to welcome Keith Baldinger to the table in his position as what I often refer to as the new Bob Cox. But fortunately, we were able to retain the real Bob Cox on the committee as well, so that we're getting the blending of the new with the more seasoned superintendent of public buildings. So thank you both very much. And why don't we now hear the report of the owner's project manager. Walter.
No problem. So update on the schedule, 60% submission is going to go to the MSBA on Friday with the cost estimates following on the June 7th, so the 21-day supplemental period. 90% on August 22nd, followed by the second cost estimate submittal on the 12th. In each of those packages is going to be the early bid package for site work, demolition and abatement for this June date. So that is with Fontaine's site work contractors, their demolition and abatement contractors out for bidding on the streets. With that second package, it'll be foundations and structural steel. You'll hear some more from Frank and Dave when they're speaking. No issues on the schedule, so we're moving right ahead. If there's any questions, we don't have an updated schedule because Deb and I are working on it for that submission.
Sure.
But with that package, the second package, we'll have the actual schedule updated.
So schedule and financials are all right?
I'll let Deb speak to
Yeah,
a quick financial update.
We put together the budget summary again.
Yep.
Which is basically the same. The contract values have not changed from last month. The invoices are updated through April. The encumbered cost to date now includes the $915,000 for the land, but it's not in the invoices to date yet because we haven't put those into the budget. And then the propays remain the same, but as the note says at the bottom, we received the MSBA executed PFA last Friday, so PMA can now enter the budget into propay, and if not the end of this week, but the beginning of next week, we will resume doing the propay, and we can do all the propays, all the warrants to date that we haven't done. So it'll be a good reimbursement coming forward.
So am I reading it correctly, Deb, that it's just over $1,074,000 that has been submitted? Or is that
Yes.
since the inception?
Nope, that is how much we have submitted to propay
To date.
Okay.
to date.
To date? And
But
we
we haven't
received
done-
back $539?
Correct, that's the 52% or whatever the percentage is for reimbursement.
Yeah.
But we haven't done a propay since last November, so this next propay, it's gonna be several
catch-up.
warrants, yes,
And that is because we didn't own the land?
correct.
Okay, very good.
And we couldn't execute the PFA till we owned the land, and we couldn't
Exactly.
do propays until we entered the PFA budget, and
Beauty.
so we
So
should be
for
all
our
set.
next meeting, we should really, well, at least for accounting purposes, have a complete up-to-date as to where we are, what's in, what's
With
come back
regard to
around.
reimbursements, yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions regarding project schedule or financials? Not seeing any. Walter, Clerk of the Works?
I would like to introduce to the committee Kevin Smith. Kevin joined PMA about a month and a half ago. Deb and I had gone through quite a search to find someone that we felt was going to bring a lot of benefit to the town of Shrewsbury. Kevin comes over from Wentworth, where he was a project manager and clerk of the works over there, and he's eager to get on board. He's been going through the drawings. He went through the DD drawings. He's now going through the 60%, finding as much as he can for LPA, and that's kind of what we're doing right now. And if anyone has any questions.
Welcome. Anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm excited for this to get started. It's a great project, it's a beautiful site, and every meeting we've had so far, I know it's beginning and just getting to know each other, but it's been very positive.
Great. Comments, questions? No? All right, well, welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you. Okay, just arriving on time, of course, with music in the background, is the architect. So why don't we move to item 4B, report from the architect. Hello, Katie.
Good evening. We have progressed very well. The 60% CD package is out, and along with that, you may remember the 100% site package is out, which means we're that much closer to actual construction. So our efforts have been obviously towards that. We have been involved in quite a few meetings preparing for the definitive site plan submission for the Lake Street realignment, which is separate from the other site plan approval that we have. We will be attending the June 6th Planning Board meeting to represent that. We have met with the school department on a few different things, kicked off the FF&E furniture, furnishings, and equipment process. Further discussion about the site plan features, and also continuing our design discussions, which have been ongoing, and Sean will be showing you more about that. We have upcoming meetings with hardware, security, more code issues, so it's just continual refinement with this particular project. And we will be representing the project at the school committee meeting on Wednesday. So it's kind of a snapshot of what we've been up to. We've been working in concert with the entire team to prepare for construction starting. We've had bi-weekly construction meetings, job meetings, pre-planning meetings, with Keith Baldinger present, as well as Angela when she's been available. The OPM, Fontaine, all of us. So all going in a good direction in that regard. With that, we do have a presentation tonight that Sean is going to give you.
Any
Give you an
questions of
update.
Katie before we go to the
Any
presentation?
questions on the overview?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
So good evening. We met last week with representatives from the school department and the building facilities department here in town. Went over some design updates before we kind of pulled them together for you guys today. But just kind of give you a little bit of a refresher. Walter already went over kind of the major deadlines we have coming forth, but just kind of as a reminder, when we're hitting these deadlines, just like at the 60%, we had a 100% site drawings due. We're also going to do an early package with the 90% documents, which are going out in August, and then we'll be going out with our final and last bid package at the end of September. Still targeting and going to hit a fall occupancy in August 2021. Overview, kind of Lake Street realignment, overview of the site, parking, circulation, special event circulation, parking along the ring road. And what I'm going to get into is when we had our design meeting, we really spent time on each of these spaces, but what we really wanted to do today was give you a larger capture overall of what we talked about in a singular video. So To kind of just recap, on the upper level, on the left-hand side at the front of the building there, all the major core spaces, and then the academic wings branch out towards the western side of the site. We have the large lobby connecting through all the major core spaces, and we're using the left side of the lobby as kind of a unifying architectural feature. And we looked at and studied and presented some different options on what type of graphics could be used in that unifying feature. Early on, we had talked about this kind of being a treehouse for learning, kind of really looking at biophilic design, this idea of bringing nature in. There's been great studies as of late on how bringing in wood or natural features helps in students' education and excitement. It's also uplifting. So what we see in this area is kind of this wood look. It's not going to be real wood. We're looking at materials that are going to be very durable for cleaning and usage and students bumping into them. But kind of creating these inset archways that this graphic can span across that you'll see in the video.
Am I standing on one of those that dotted line,
Yes.
looking to my left?
So looking up, so it's looking 90 degrees, then at any point along that line is kind of how this is projected out. So if you look at the left side, you're seeing the canopy coming into the building, the smaller vestibule, which that's going to be acting as a security lock to then force people to come into the admin area. And then that first glass bay is the cafeteria, and then the next graphics are moving along. And then the last bay all the way to the right, you're in the media center, to kind of give you a sense as you're following through that, and it drops down the main stair. So here's a section looking the other way to kind of give you a sense. We're looking at the gymnasium here. In the middle of that elevation, we did a unifying feature to bring together all of the gymnasium doors together with a display case for student work, some acoustical panels to help with the acoustics in this space, and it's going to be a brick veneer finish that kind of flows to the outside when it wraps around the media center. You're going to start to see more of these features as they really relate to each other in 3D, but I just kind of want to give you a quick lay of the land again, how the building drapes into the site, and we use that main stair to progress down to the lower level.
And where are we putting the elements from the current Beal School relative to Major Howard Beal?
So we talked about that at our meeting last week. We would like to see them, or the request was that we'd like to try to find a good position for them in the main lobby to feature them. So we're studying. We have those display cases. We do want to keep some space solely for student work also. So we haven't targeted an exact area just yet, but it is on our radar to kind of lock that down.
For the next meeting, could you have some sense of what elements, just to make sure we're all on the same page, what elements you think we're taking and we might be thinking we're taking?
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. One of the other bigger things that we introduced, really making sure we have some extra display cases for students throughout the entire school during this design iteration. And then what we really focused a lot on during this whole design phase and kind of tweaking it was the exterior canopies on the building, making sure that they're welcoming, they let a lot of light in, not become overbearing. Students are excited for it's a place to come into, and the main stair leading down from the lobby. So as you just saw, on the right side is the cafeteria with that large window looking to the south over the paved play area. You have this academic wing on the lower portion of the screen now. Each classroom has 2 large windows. The inclusion breakout spaces in between the classrooms have a smaller singular window. You're seeing the media center inside the courtyard there. A lot of the landscaping features are doing dual use for stormwater management, also different types of plantings to help mitigate erosion and help with soil retention. And as we're swinging around, this is going to be the main walk as you come down the terraced paved parking area in front of the building. So it'll be actually called out with a different material as you progress through. We want to go with a opaque, semi-translucent panel to let light in. As you go through the lobby here, you'll see this large plane ceiling carries all the way down through the structure. As you turn to the left, this window lines up with the window across, looking down towards the fields that Shrewsbury Youth Soccer will be operating. Here, once again, we're bringing in that wood look, wood feel with the ceiling. Want to introduce some interesting, kind of more organic round shapes in this rectilinear building where we have some specialty spaces. You saw the proscenium there also around the stage. It has kind of a decent-sized thrust. Here's that unifying piece I was talking about that carries all those display cases, acoustical panels, gym doors. Kind of creates a nice design element that's proportioned well along that wall. As we enter into the gymnasium, kind of remind you it's the same size as Floral Street, same court size as Floral Street, has bleachers on the left-hand side, acoustical panels up above. What you're seeing is rendered in blue is just the kind of wall padding. So here you're really starting to get a sense of this graphic and what we're trying to do with it as it kind of carries down and along this main stair. Stair carries down through. I'm going to take a look as you would turn, looking back towards the graphic. And we're going to actually kind of moonwalk backwards through the media center, but we really kind of wanted to give you a sense of what this stair space would look like. The stair's freestanding. We have some bench seating and display areas we've introduced around this. It's really going to kind of be a major thoroughway. If you recall, all the students are going to be coming in down that corridor from the paved play area and getting upstairs. Looking towards the media center, the maker spaces in the back there, and we're just kind of heading on out to the playground, the Butterfly Grove, which also there's some stormwater management on the interior of these looped figure 8 patterns. And looking back towards the media center, as you can see, that same unifying large lobby articulation is carried right on throughout the back. And this is looking out west, where we have our back to the west, looks out over Lake Quinsig towards the Worcester Hills, where UMass Medical is. So that's what we have. I can always play it again.
That's all within the current budget.
Yes. Well, we will find out,
Yeah.
but that it was
Trending that way,
it was trending that way. Obviously, that was the budget we were working in before we embarked on the 60% phase, and that's what's being tested out now. And we'll have for you, we'll have that estimate for you the June 4th. No. Well, that's when we're meeting.
Right.
That's when we're meeting. But we're going to have the estimate to you the Thursday before that June 4th meeting. So you'll have Friday, the weekend,
Yeah.
and Monday to review it before you guys approve it at that meeting.
And if we do hit a point of collision, you have alternatives already lined up.
Yeah, so as a measure that MSBA requires is if you're not trending on budget, you have to look at some VE options and alternatives and identify those before you
VE
submit.
means,
Value engineering.
and what does that mean to the average guy?
Identifying areas where we can reduce costs, I guess. But the reason why I say value engineering is
Because you're an architect. That's why you say value engineering.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you hope to limit the impact to the overall design, obviously the education delivery, and the long-term durability of the school. I mean, it's obviously something you're hoping to stay in town for 50 years plus.
Two questions, one maybe more important than the other, but I'll let you all decide. So, when we look at the covered walkway on the way into the building and it's translucent, how do you maintain something like that and have it not be yellow in the spring and other wonderful things at other times of the year, as far as pollen and green and all other colors? Maybe my more important question is when do we as a committee start to understand mechanical systems that are being proposed and utility costs and things like that as you guys work through that?
So, yes, when we met with the owner to review this, the owner being school committee representatives and Keith, he brought up the question about maintaining this canopy. And it will require, some power washing. We do have a gutter system integrated into the project itself. And there is a little bit of maintenance with it. We felt it was very important because it's 70 feet from the entry to the curb, that if that were not uplifting and open to light, that it would be not a great experience. So granted,
Like a tube.
exactly.
But do we have any examples in the region of people who've used this, whether it be for a school setting or a non-school setting?
That's a good question. We can take a look at that.
If we had one
so
of
you
those, then Keith could be
experience
put in
it.
contact with the individual, the building facilities manager, would, I think, shed some real life
Did we
experience
have it at
to
Auburn, just at the entry, right? Just at the,
He's talking about the lobby, but that's a Cal wall system, it's a little different, but.
right. Yes, that's a good suggestion. We can take a look at that.
And I would also, following up on something Kevin said, as you begin to firm this up, would you have your power consultant run the numbers? If for no other reason, so that we can understand what as we go from projected into, closer to the real life operating budget of the building. That'd be very useful to know as soon as we can know it, because we'll be going into that
Yeah.
fiscal year
So-
with guesstimates.
So there is a heat gain, heat loss calculations and life cycle cost analysis that were included not only in our DD submission, but they're also going to be part of this submission that we're going to upload to you guys later this week. And that will cover all water consuming devices and all mechanical devices. So that's going to give you a good glimpse kind of in a operating cost, kind of return on investment overall for those items, and that's based off of what we do every time is once you get that cost estimate, it's based off of the most recent estimate for that value of work for the mechanical items. So we'll do it yet again at the 90%. So each one of these phases, you're going to get an updated life cycle cost analysis for all the devices you're talking about.
And program for Shrewsbury for what the town pays for, or just general?
I don't know if I think it's energy consumption.
Yeah, so-
So it's more based. I don't think it would be because I don't think it would provide the rates that you guys are paying, but we could probably.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to take it to the next step to make it real.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's almost an academic exercise.
Yep.
as
Just
opposed to-
supplies with units, we can plug in the
Exactly.
current pricing.
Exactly. I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Which
No,
can
I mean-
obviously change over time too.
I mean, my questions were, I'm just, maybe it's not for everyone at the building committee, but as a committee member, I would, probably not at this meeting, but like to understand the systems, as a committee member, so we could talk about it in public if people have questions.
very good.
Like, it's a high efficiency natural gas, these are the options that we considered, and, we're spending $1 million, but it's only gonna cost us 200 versus spending 800 and costing 150 or whatever, the 250, so.
Yes, we could do that at the building committee level if you like. I mean, we could have our consultants come in. If you remember, way back when we were talking through the feasibility study, we really modeled many of the systems around what we have at Sherwood and other district facilities because they're time-tested, they align with facilities agreements in terms of service and maintenance. We understand them well, but we can dive into that more deeply. One big difference between Beal and Sherwood will be this school will have 100% LED lighting. And Sherwood was a newer technology still, and we were very excited about having it in the corridors, I think, and so this will be advanced beyond that, and as we all know, that has tremendous energy savings, right off the bat for that. So it might, maybe we want to talk a little bit in more detail. I mean, we could bring in our HVAC engineer and have him run through the systems that we have. He's done other work in town. So he's also aware of what you have in many of the other schools, and that might be a benefit to everybody, if you like, or a subcommittee.
I think for the next meeting, I'd like 2 items on paper that people can review and then see if they want to have a presentation. The first one being the energy. The whole 9 yards, water, electricity, gas, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think, to your point, it might be interesting to have a sheet that goes through the various elements of Kevin's area of interest, and then has if you will, one column, the same thing as in the system, new to the system and why. Some explanations on that so that
We can do a
we can see
presentation.
what we've picked up, what we've learned over time from the existing building and the more recent builds, and then what is newer and why we may have, and I'm just saying may have, strayed from that consistency. I think that would give us a step to it. And then if folks get this in advance of the next meeting and would like to have the consultant come in, we can easily
Okay,
have that individual come in.
okay, very good.
Does that make sense to people? Okay. Anything else? Kevin, did you have
No,
another question?
no, thank
Yeah,
you.
all right, great. Any comments on the presentation? Are we square with that? We all set with the architect?
One thing I just wanted to explain on this video, we are at 60% design, where it's not 100%, so some of the areas you saw where we have kind of gray walls or no floor patterns or anything, those are things that we're currently working on, and we will continue to backfill into this design. Some things, for example, that lobby has been sort of a key feature in the design of the school, so we've been pushing that, and we're letting things, you know, work from there, as you could see with the cafeteria design. So I didn't want you to go away with the impression, even some of the exteriors, we're refining what those colors will be. They're more or less neutral placeholders at this point, but
I'll just offer one comment on that, and I appreciate and agree with the concept that you want a sense of arrival to be a welcoming, not a tube or a tunnel, but you want to have the arrival be a pleasing one. Just please, and I'd like to know the detail of the parking lot. I hope we're not talking about cobblestones and, you know, that you have that main walkway, and then it becomes a maintenance nightmare. And although obviously no one just wants a sea of pavement, I'd rather have pavement with perhaps at the most stamped concrete or something. But, you know, beyond day one, we have to maintain it and so forth, and
Yep.
I don't want to get into chasing the weeds and then the cobblestones come up and that type of.
high maintenance is not.
It's just not
yeah.
gonna work. It's gonna
And
look great.
that's
at day
another
one.
excellent point. Even some of the things that we're showing here are just to represent the paver pattern, but we have more than you're seeing here. So it looks like a sea of pavers, but there are benches, there's planting, it's broken up more than, but it's to represent something. We have been using this particular technology as a design tool. We
Yeah.
use this in-house to help ourselves view things three-dimensionally and let the design evolve from there. So some of it is still left to the imagination, it's still coming, but those are all good points.
Any other comments, questions? That lighting has to be awfully expensive, or it looks
No.
like it would be. Oh, okay. All right, well, we'll see where the numbers come in. Very good, moving on to 4C, report from the construction manager. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Frank Pear with Fontaine Brothers. Just a quick update as to what's happening on the site. You probably drive by, don't see a lot of activity, but behind the scenes, there's quite a lot of activity. We've had the water shut off, the gas shut off, the electric shut off, meeting Verizon there tomorrow to finalize that. Working with Patty and the building department to get all the building permits secured. And the game plan is to start abatement and demolition July and August, site work September, steel in January. And that's kind of the big snapshot of what's gonna happen out there. End of June, you're gonna see trailers rolling out there, fencing going up. But that's where we are at the moment with construction,
When do you see the gray buildings coming down?
July.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Anything else, Mr. Fontaine, anything from you?
As far as the bidding process, Frank said, we've actually, so the 60% documents are in-house. They've gone out to site work contractors, demolition contractors. I believe site contractors, we sent it to between 8 and 10 bidders. We've got, four that are really interested. We've got a couple of folks that, depending on workload, may bid it. Abatement demo, another strong field of bidders. So a lot of good interest in the project, and we anticipate competitive bids.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for the construction manager? No? Next item is to review and vote to authorize the 60% construction document package to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Kevin, do we have a specific motion relative to that?
So this was a little premature, and apologize for not catching it with Val. We're gonna give you guys this document this week as far as assembling it goes. The drawings themselves were available to the contractor last week. So what we would like to do is postpone this for when you guys see the estimate and you have the chance to look through these documents also.
So we'll move this to the June 4th meeting?
Yeah.
And it's the June 4th date because we have to make this filing? It's a little off cycle for us, is it not?
The June 4th date has to, so what ends up happening is the MSBA has a 21-day tether to
Yeah.
when the estimate can be sent in after the submission, so that's kind of what's tethering it backwards on us. So that date was what was kind of set from when we had the documents available, how much time Fontaine Brothers needed to get hard bids for the site and demo, and then also bid the rest of the work, so.
Okay, great.
Yes, it is off schedule, but
Okay, so Val, we'll hold that for the, actually, item 6.
Jim,
Yes?
we, Joe and Pat and I have a negotiation the night of June 4th at 5 PM. My thought last night when we were booking this negotiating meeting. So it's tricky time-wise because we're at 5, this is at 6. So you're saying that the 11th is still going to be a regularly scheduled meeting?
I don't think we need the 11th.
we
don't
actually do
need the
not
11th,
need the.
But we need to go on the 4th
To
in
tie to
order to
that
get this
21
in.
day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look at changing our date.
But this, in all honesty, is this a 5-minute moment? How about a coffee break from your 5 o'clock? Instead of changing everything.
Yeah.
Change of
I can
pace in
do
the
that.
negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have the documents in advance of the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be at Sherwood, so we'll be close to run over.
That works for me too, because I have 6:30.
We also, at that meeting on the 4th, one of the reasons that we were looking for that day a little bit earlier, is we'll have the site bids and the abatement demo bids back. So we'd like to, at that point, present to the committee where we are and authorize some of those contracts to move forward so they can get started with the permitting process and stuff out on actual site work.
Okay, so would it make sense to possibly ask that you slide your meeting a half hour and we meet at 5?
Well, we're starting at 5, but this could be, if we come here for 6, this is a 6 o'clock meeting,
Yeah.
we can have, that's our dinner break. We can do that with
All right.
the group.
Then we'll keep it at 6?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So we will hold item 5 and slide it to our next meeting, which is Tuesday, June 4th at 6 PM in this room. We do not think, are we comfortable saying we don't need June 11th? Okay. We will strike June 11th, and then we're back on for July 9th. And then August 13th.
Correct. And you'd like the
At
presentation?
6. Yeah, why don't we then plan to
Yep.
update the board? And then it looks like,
I don't believe
and
we-
again, September 3rd?
We do not need that meeting. You
Okay,
could
so
strike
we'll,
that one.
very good, good.
So that one, once again, being tethered, to kind of give you how that aligns, what's gonna happen is our reconciliation, for the estimate for the 90% is going to happen, I think on the 4th, September 4th, or it's happening that week. So once again, we'll get you the estimate the Thursday or Friday before that meeting on the 10th, for you guys to review and then
Okay.
ultimately authorize.
So Tuesday, the 4th of June at 6, Tuesday, July 9th at 6, August 13th, a Tuesday at 6, and then a presentation to the board, and then on Tuesday, September 10th at 6. And that takes us into the new school year. And then we have less than a year to get this done. So, no other questions on our meeting schedule? The next item would appear to be a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion, or you just want to stay here? Okay, motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
It's okay.